everybody, what's going on? And welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is...
Chris Carnafucking-Selly.
And...
Nicely done.
That's right, bitch.
Robert Morphy.
Thank you all so very much for joining us. Top of the show, Patreon. As always, shout-outs to our Patreon supporters. It means so much to us. That is patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. You can join there. $1 will get you a shout-out.
It will.
And we have shout-outs coming on a couple more episodes.
A glorious shout-out.
$5 will get you a shout-out and some bonus audio content.
Some crazy, illicit, awesome shit.
We just recorded a Patreon episode, actually, for September.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to apologize if you hear this before.
Yeah, no doubt. There's either going to be heavy editing. We went down some crazy roads.
Look at, man.
Maybe.
It happens.
It's what Patreon's about,
Just
though.
pretend you didn't hear what he just said.
Exactly. It happens.
You might not know.
Maybe you're going to hear
behind the curtain and knowing how fucked up we actually are.
Exactly. So thank you all so very much to everyone that supports us over there. And, of course, thank you all to all of our listeners, Patreon or not. We
Absolutely.
appreciate
You guys fucking rule.
We appreciate the support, and we are extremely, extremely impressed. And Chris is taking my beer.
It's going to be an antic-filled pod, I can tell
Yes,
already.
we are very impressed, as I was saying, with the interaction on our Facebook fan group and all the comments and questions and suggestions and interactions we get from people
Can I
on the
implore
socials.
our audience in one way? Please, if you have an opinion on anything, positive or negative, put it out there because I fucking, just for personal reasons, I love reading them. I love reading what people
me too.
like. I love reading what people maybe don't like as much. Things that, might guide kind of the direction of maybe even stories we pick. Because, I mean, I'll be honest, it's sort of out of a fucking hat. Anything that like strikes my fancy
It
week
could
to
happen.
week
Yeah.
is what happens. We don't have like we don't have a 3-month plan, much less anything else. So, just for my own edification and sheer enjoyment, fucking, if you have a feeling, write it. If you have a thought and opinion, write it, because I fucking love reading it.
So what you do is if you got anything that you want to let Bobby know,
please
go to the Facebook fan group, post it up, and tag him in it.
Do it.
And then on Facebook, he'll get his notifications.
I will. And you know what? I still try to check all the Facebook shit. And I don't know, what is it called when you look but don't interact? There's an internet word. It's not troll. What is it called?
Like Insta-stalking?
I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm sorry. But anyway, I do
Look,
read
but not read.
our Instagrams, because I don't have Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah,
but I can
neither.
access it on my tablet. So I still read the comments there. Even though
it.
sometimes I would like to respond, I can't, because that would probably be like a 3-step process to sign up, and that's not what's going to happen in my life. I can barely deal with the shit I do.
It's a username and a password. That's all.
Oh, God. No.
And on your tablet,
Done.
you have a camera.
Fuck
yeah,
that.
no, what is this
What a camera? What, I want to take
Orwellian
pictures of
future?
me while I fucking read other people's comments?
No, it's Instagram. It's what it's about. It's posting pictures.
That's not for me.
Oh, God
but
damn
what I
it.
do is you deal with the Instas and the Twitters. You
I
know
do.
that.
I enjoy the Instas
What I
and
like to do
Twitters.
is just like creep on there and read them and go, oh, that was a really cool comment, or oh, that's a good idea.
Okay.
All right, so I said my piece. But on Facebook, I will actively interact. So please, if you think it, write it.
Yeah, go ahead, tag Rob on your Instagram or your Facebook posts in the group, and he will see them. So let's get started. We are dealing with, this is going to be part 1 of a 2-part.
Indeed, it's our third 2-parter.
This is our third 2-parter. We're talking about the Dubno Abductors.
We are indeed.
Dubno.
In 2008, a Ukrainian couple claimed to have been snatched up by curious creatures from another world. But while many aspects of their experience mirror those of classic alien abduction lore, there were a few strange twists that transformed this case from a run-of-the-mill extraterrestrial encounter into one of the most bizarre interplanetary kidnappings on the books.
Indeed.
Run-of-the-mill extraterrestrial.
All right. That sounds like a
on,
misnomer, doesn't it?
I know.
Right.
I
But you
know
all
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Rays, butt probes, fucking in and out.
Glorious.
Lights,
Yeah.
Lights,
probes,
exactly.
lights, asses.
Regret, constant hypnotic regression, and fucking paranoia of the sky.
Unless it's going to be the Nordics, and then you're just like, it was awesome.
Nobody
And they
gets
were
taken
so
by the
cool.
fucking Nordics
because they
anymore.
just show up.
Like, that was in the 50s. Like, you
Yeah.
had, like, a couple of Swedes come up, give you a hand job, and tell you everything was going to be okay. That was an abduction in 1953.
Yeah, well, they're over it.
That shit's over now.
So it doesn't happen.
It's like a horror show of fucking experimentation and aloof grays. They're like the girls in fucking middle school that were too good to talk to you. All right, so let's get back to Dubno.
All right.
Dubno is a city in Ukraine. I'm going to fucking deal with that in a second. This abduction, as Mark pointed out in the introduction, it seems like it has all the standard highlights. And not to say there's not fascinating standard abductions, but there are fucking things that just fucking fuck it up and make it weird. You're going to see this in part 1 or hear this. You will also hear it even more so in part 2. So
it is an audio format, yes.
Yeah.
They will hear it.
I know.
Yeah.
I say see.
I know.
Metaphorically.
We all do.
I always say metaphorically when I really don't know what I mean, even though I know it's not a metaphor for anything.
No,
Metaphorically, we'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Situated. You know how we're going to fucking deal with
I'm glad it's not nestled.
geography. No. Well, I've done nestled for a while because Mark loved it.
I do. I like it. It's
But,
cool.
you got to remember, too, when I'm writing, a lot of times, maybe I'm not super sober and I don't realize I'm being redundant.
Okay.
Situated. In the southeastern pocket of the Ukraine near the Ikva? I might be saying that wrong. Ikva
It was
River.
like Ikva, yeah.
I think it's Ikva River. In the Rivne Oblast province is the city of Dubno. As of 2017, Dubno supported a population of just under 40,000. But on a cold night sometime in the winter of 2008, the population was lessened by 2 souls thanks to an alleged incursion by extraterrestrial intelligences.
Just as a side note, I guess this is a pod edit note. We were going to possibly sing this whole episode.
Yeah, we were.
And we had a little
we did
practice.
a little test.
And you and I thought
Yeah, we did. I thought we did. We harmonized well.
And Chris did
You
wasn't.
put the kibosh on it.
Yeah,
I
he
have
said
like
no.
30% of a voice.
Okay. Well,
I said this when I was peeing.
You could have went, oh,
You coulda.
and done the backing.
I mean, I was thinking like
I need
a
my
gentle,
full range.
strong, like a little rhythmic rhyming.
You just want like a Gregorian chant shenanigans.
I know.
I want a Dio episode, so that's why I need to be.
Oh, we can't. But Chris,
Dio-
Mark and I
listen.
cannot fucking possibly live up to that.
Dio
height.
is about feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's
I know.
also
It
about
isn't-
range.
Not
He had a
necessarily.
glorious voice.
Yeah.
All you have to do is feel it.
All right. Well,
So one of
Sadly-
these days we're gonna feel Dio and do it.
Yes.
Is that a
maybe we'll
promise
have
to
a
our
singing
listeners?
episode.
Not a
Because
whole
I can't
episode.
fucking sing. I mean, I can't sing at all.
No, we know.
20
Yeah,
seconds.
you know.
20 seconds. All right, fine.
Not
So-
a full
All right,
episode.
fair enough.
So there is your pod edit note for the episode.
On January 11th, 2008, 34-year-old martial arts instructor Vladimir Voronezhky, I love that name, was enjoying a quiet evening at home with his 29-year-old wife Olga and their 3 children, Vanessa, 9, Angelica, 8, and their 18-month-old son, Arthur. The family had no clue that in a few short hours their placid lives would be turned upside down by invaders from out of this world. As the sun began to settle on the horizon, Olga asked her daughters if they would go to a nearby store to pick up some things for her. Vanessa and Angelica happily headed out, having no idea that on their trip home from the shop, they would have a sighting that would herald a dramatic shift in the lives of those of their closest loved ones. The initial incident began, as so many momentous events do, with an insignificant variation in the environment. The subtle change that the sisters noticed was a small, spherical white light soaring swiftly through the darkening skies above their hometown. The girls paused to stare at this astronomical oddity and noted that it also had an odd red and yellow flashing light that seemed to be oscillating around its perimeter. With what must have been both a rush of fright and exhilaration, Vanessa and Angelica rushed home to tell their parents that they had seen a flying star that seemed to have followed them home.
Oh, it followed him.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the Star of Christ.
If it's a puppy, that's all right.
Yeah, even a kitten. As long
If
as
it's
you
a
get
kitten.
as long as you get your rabies shots and you don't
Yeah.
die of rabies, you're good.
You've been
I
there.
survived.
You did.
I'm a survivor.
You're a rabies survivor.
I'm a rabies survivor.
Chris is a SID survivor.
Yeah, exactly.
I am a double
According,
pneumonia
yeah,
survivor.
according to Peyton, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Olga, ever the pragmatic mother, told her daughters that they had probably just seen the lights of a plane or perhaps a satellite. But the girls insisted that the object had been round with no visible wings and strange moving lights. Vanessa and Angelica then retreated into their separate bedrooms and drew what they had seen. Both Vladimir and Olga were skeptical, but they were also impressed enough by the similarities in the images that when their daughters insisted they go outdoors to have a look for themselves, they capitulated. At approximately 9 p.m., the incredulous couple stepped outside and was shocked to discover what appeared to be an undulating, amorphous, self-illuminated object hovering high above the nearby Ikva River. Olga quickly snapped a photo with her cell phone, but only managed to capture what appeared to be an elongated yellow smudge with a black background. Old school 2008 cell phones, Dark Knight. What are
You
you
got
going
to get like an iPhone, like XR
I
or
know,
like a
what we-
Galaxy S or
What
something.
kills me is I really wish we would have like a fucking Phoenix Lights event now, where everyone's got like the most high def shit in their back pocket. And then you would get literally
but they
20,000
don't.
videos of the greatest UFO encounter ever
Phones-
instead of sketchy fucking stories. and
Phones still
VHS.
cannot capture stuff that like a DSLR can.
Yeah, but it would still be Well, there'd be a few DSLR cameras probably in Phoenix too, or wherever this could happen. My fantasy event that I need to happen.
No,
soon.
I know.
Yeah. I hope it does.
Are you gonna like force this event to happen? You're gonna like plan it?
I'm willing it. I'm wishing it.
Wow, you can probably do it with a couple of
Can you sigil
candles.
this happen
Is this
for
gonna
me?
be, I probably could. Is this gonna be like your Watchmen moment though?
Oh my god, it would be grand.
Where you summon the Starro looking creature.
Oh, like my Ozymandias moment?
Oh,
Where
from the comic.
Where I bring the evil of the cosmos to like bind the human race.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that
But
big.
then it turns out
I was
it
just
wasn't.
thinking I'm a geek and I really want a lot of video of a UFO.
Well, if you want me,
That's all I want.
But if you need me to be the pariah that brings together the human race because of a false alien threat, I'll do this.
This sigil might break me and us, but we'll see what
All right,
we
we're
can
going to
do.
work on it later.
All right, cool.
We're going to get back on point right now.
Awesome.
Okay. After staring at the anomalous object for quite some time, Olga and Vladimir decided that they'd spent enough time trying to figure out what was floating above the river and that their parental duties had to take precedence over this ethereal light show. To that end, the couple whipped up a late supper for themselves and their children, then decided to turn in for the night, resolving themselves to the fact that, despite their overwhelming curiosity, this mystery of the skies, would have to remain unsolved.
Do you at least call someone to report it?
I
Like the
would.
local
I've never seen a
cops?
UFO and not called Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, immediately.
That is true.
It's like, dude!
I mean, couldn't Vladimir call like the dojo and but guys, I got to report this to you.
Dojo?
Yeah,
He is a martial arts instructor, so yeah, that makes sense.
Who's
What
going
else
to
are you
be
gonna call?
Who's going to be at the dojo at that point, though?
I don't
Dave?
know, like-
Dave might be there.
No, you
Igor?
you call
Yuri?
like,
Igor.
I'm trying to think of fucking
Oh my God.
Really?
Iron Curtain names. Is that race? Is now my
No,
Iron Curtain racist?
No, but
No.
it's just it's so on the nose.
Yeah.
Ivan. I don't know.
Ivan, yeah, that is
You
just...
call your dojo like the fucking like your ninja crew, and you're like, guys, we got some fucking things happening.
Got some
here.
anomalous
or
shit
maybe
above my
even
house.
like I don't know, the fucking police or some
But
shit.
not only did they not call anyone, they're just like, fuck it, we got to make dinner and go to bed.
Yeah.
You know what?
Which,
and
you
you know
know.
what it is? It's a weird kind of, I guess, like say, it's amorphous, it's moving, there's some weird shit. You're like, huh.
You know what though?
But it's over the river, and you're like, the kids got to eat, they got to go to bed. It's a school night, I'm assuming.
As a parent, I could see me being like, you know what, man, I get it. There's a fucking floating pyramid with fucking angels and fire, but you know what? It's late.
All right, if I saw that, I'd never stop
have
watching.
to go to
I set
bed.
up the
I would
lawn
never
chair.
sleep again,
Yeah, no.
probably.
The fucking
know.
angelic pyramid of fire.
when you're dealing
yeah.
with kids in the school night, you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care.
Probably
what?
because I'm obsessed with
It's
pyramids
funny
anyway.
in real
That's a little
life.
bit bad.
I realize shit takes precedence, and you do other things. But whenever I'm reading a story about like some fascinating event from whenever, and people are like, and after they watched it for 15 minutes, they decided to go inside. I'm always like, the fuck you did?
Yeah, anytime we talk about this, like some shit happened, they had to run away and they had to fight, and then like they were tired and decided to get some sleep. I'm like, the fuck they did?
Yeah, exactly.
They were up forever and crying.
Yeah, exactly. With guns and martial arts equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what really happened.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't just eat a ham sandwich and go to bed.
No,
not
at
after some
all.
of this crazy shit
No.
goes down.
All right, Robert, continue.
All right. As they pulled up the sheets and settled into bed, Vladimir and Olga had no way of knowing that before the first light of dawn, they would be in possession of more information than they could ever care to have regarding the bright UFO and the bizarre beings who occupied it.
Oh.
A little foreshadowing for that ass. At approximately 2 a.m., Vladimir woke with a start. He wasn't sure what had startled him into awareness, but once he pried his eyes open, he could see that his entire bedroom seemed to be illuminated by a vivid violet light that was tinged with a white aura. Exhausted, Vladimir attempted to wake his wife, but Olga refused to open her eyes and in a low murmur told him that he was only dreaming. In his stupor, that was all the encouragement Vladimir needed to close his eyes against the intruding light and fall back asleep.
I don't know, Vlad. I don't know if that's what you do, dude.
I don't know. You know, I've been so tired.
You gotta at least get up and be like,
Like,
what the
I've
fuck?
slept through every earthquake, and we don't have many earthquakes in upstate
Yeah,
New
no,
York.
me too. I've
But
never.
when it happens, like, I remember I've opened my eyes for a brief second and seen some shit, like, shaking on my dresser, especially when I was a kid. I'm like, yeah, that shit's for tomorrow. I didn't get up alarmed and, like,
That's
get in
for
the
tomorrow.
doorway.
I
and,
never
like,
got
protect
that
myself.
far.
I'm like, fuck that. Fuck that
Wow.
noise.
All right.
All right. Yeah,
So
I
maybe
never got
when
that
there's
far.
some bright light coming in, you maybe think, I don't know, there's a new club across the way. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, a new club across the way.
That was my first
they
thought.
opened during the night.
Well, Ukraine
And
2008.
had Cannibal
Who knows
Corpse
how that
fucking-
shit goes down? A traveling rave? That was all the
man,
hype shit back then.
There's a traveling rave. There's
Oh,
an
the
EDM
traveling
club happening.
rave.
Yeah.
It's like Something Wicked This Way Comes, but with a lot more lights
That's
and
what I
pacifiers.
picture. They just evilly
Just
set
evil-
up in the
we
middle of
just
the
sets up
night.
in the- exactly, but it's a
Like,
dance fucking party.
Welcome to the rave. It's like 3 in the
If
morning.
only Fred Berry could write it for us.
Oh my God, evil rave.
The traveling Russian rave. I like it.
But not every member of the Voronezhky clan could so easily dismiss this invasive display of the super rave. The family's youngest daughter, Angelica, grew anxious as a powerful orange light began to filter in through the slats in her Venetian blinds. Isn't that classic Close Encounters?
100%.
Bathing her room in an eerie glow. The beam grew in intensity until its luminosity started to irritate the little girl's eyes. The now terrified Angelica threw back her covers, raced into her parents' bedroom, and started to shake her slumbering mother. Olga woke up to the sound of her sobbing child and, still half asleep, attempted to comfort her. That's when she happened to glance upward, and all traces of wariness drained from her body to be replaced by wholesale horror.
Wholesale.
What did she see? For this discount rate on terror?
Sheer panic.
Olga grabbed her daughter and vigorously shook her husband. Vladimir's eyes fluttered open, and in a panicked voice, his wife commanded him to look up. The drowsy father did as he was told and was shocked to find that the ceiling over their bedroom had completely disappeared, or at least had been rendered inexplicably transparent.
Okay.
So you wake up, your daughter comes and shakes you. She saw the orange light, you had the violet light in your room. The wife wakes up because, a distraught child, looks up and sees some shit, wakes up the husband, he looks up and also sees some shit, and that's some shit.
So
You expect to have a fucking
Collectively,
ceiling.
they see some
like
shit.
the roof of your beautiful Russian ranch is gone.
Ukrainian, but yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
or translucent. It's kind of vague.
Okay.
What if they
right.
see it or see through it?
Weird.
Yeah.
X-ray. Okay.
Right?
Like say, no, it's transparent.
It's
It's either gone or transparent. I'm rooting for transparent at this point. Like
Right.
Who knows? Maybe they're fucking alien roofers and they just took
Maybe
that
they
shit
just,
off.
yeah, they're like, hey
Time
guys,
to retile.
Guys, guess what? You got 2 layers. Code says you can only have 2 before you got to tear off, get a new one. Because guess who's getting a new roof next year, boys?
That's you.
This guy right
So you
here.
know it all
I
about
already
it.
got my
All right.
roof figured out.
So, this is not where the fucked up shit ends.
Okay.
Seeing the canopy of stars above them was not, however, what incited the terror they felt. The genesis of their distress was the colossal, disc-like craft that hovered directly above them.
Not only is your roof gone, but there's a fucking
Fucking
UFO above you.
A classic flying saucer, no less.
Yeah.
Like
See?
vintage,
Well,
like
okay.
Harryhausen Earth versus type shit.
Disc. Okay.
right.
well,
Discoidal.
let's-
I love that word. Alarmed by this aerial apparition, Vladimir and his wife Olga made sure that their children were safe, then ran outside wearing only their sleeping clothes to get a better look at the thing that had made part of their roof vanish. The strange discoid vessel moved and was now floating approximately 300 feet away from their home, casting a nearly blinding white-violet luminosity across their property. So it's not hovering directly above their house anymore. It's a little bit away,
All right.
shooting down. Literally petrified by the sight of this incandescent thing, both Olga and Vladimir found that they were unable to move. The pair weren't sure if they had been paralyzed by some external force or if they were simply frozen by shock. Then, without warning, Olga felt herself floating in a slow spiraling motion as she rose toward the shimmering saucer.
You're getting the classic tractor beam treatment.
Tracked beam.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Old
This is
school.
what
That is the
do when you get
fucking
too
deal.
close to the Death Star.
Yep.
What does it do?
Travis Walton knows you get blasted back first, sucked in next.
Death Star.
Yeah, but the
I'm
Death
sorry,
Star,
I'm
was,
going more legit.
the Death Star was subtle because they were just approaching it, and then all of a sudden they couldn't escape, and they're like, ugh.
But it's like, turn around. And he's like, oh, we can't.
We're
calling
fucked.
tractor
We're
beam.
in it.
Yeah,
We're in the
that's
beam.
I feel like
We're
that was just gravity at that point. But
Oh yeah, an object that large would have its own gravity.
yeah,
No, I'm pretty sure.
How did
I'm
Newtonian
pretty
physics
sure.
no, they
work
say
with
it was a
Death
tractor
Stars?
beam.
Obi-Wan.
but- Wom.
I said Obi-Wan.
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 Master Star Wars here. Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
No, they-
Kenobi.
They
I'm sorry,
100%
Ben.
claim it was a tractor beam, but they didn't show it. It wasn't like they showed up and it was like Star Trek where
So
the
you mean to
Didn't
tell
give
me
some tingly
Yeah.
beam or anything.
Fucking
They
Jedi
claim
Master
it.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was like, we're caught on my tractor beam. And Chris is like, that's bullshit. It's the gravity of the Death Star. Really? He's a Jedi Master.
Did you
He knows.
see the tractor beam?
Well, yeah, because
That's
didn't they
fair.
have to power it down?
They said they did. Maybe
Did
that
you
was just an
see
extra obstacle.
the tractor beam? Yes
being
or
very
no?
clear.
Okay, no, I didn't. I'm sorry.
All
No
right,
one
whatever.
did. Why? Because it's not in the movie.
Oh, wow, this is why.
Mind
This is why you
blown.
hate clones.
I fucking despise clones.
They're the worst.
No, I don't really care about that. I'm just saying A normal tractor beam is a beam and you see it.
All right, okay.
But in that movie, that's
Fine.
the only.
All right, yeah, we're going to agree to disagree on Star Wars.
I'm not saying it wasn't tractor
In
beam.
all fairness,
You're saying you couldn't see it.
Olga's in a really tough spot right now, and I think we need to get back to her.
All right, I'm sorry, Olga.
She is slowly spinning upward in what seems to
No,
be
I want to fight about beams.
a classic tractor beam, like the kind never seen in Star Wars.
I want to fight about beams.
Be more.
Well, if you remember in the script, the original writing,
Well said.
You can't see the beam.
yeah, and you can clearly a beam. Oh, Chris just killed his mic.
The terrified,
Coughing.
if you'll let me, the terrified mother would never forget the unnerving sensation of being whisked skyward by some invisible force. No matter how hard she tried, Olga was unable to move her limbs. As shock set in, a growing ball of nausea began to form in the pit of her stomach. At the same instant, Vladimir stared in helpless horror as his wife slowly ascended into the air. Through sheer force of will, he broke free from his paralysis and lunged toward Olga, barely missing one of her twisting legs.
Real quick, am I sensing martial arts training here?
I
don't
it's
wanna get too deep.
You're bold. It's
All right.
early.
Okay.
You will have more time to assess this, I
Okay.
assure you. But perhaps, because very often, alien paralysis is something you cannot thwart.
But if you're a martial arts expert,
He managed to break the spell,
dude,
at least for a moment.
what if you did like a Hadouken? Like a small Hadouken.
The tiniest of
You just like,
Hadoukens.
Hadouken!
Oh, Hadinky.
That is the tiniest.
Jesus Christ! I think I'm dying!
No, no, Mark just died.
Oh my fucking God.
Just give it a second. Mark's recovering. No, Mark's his face is fire engine red right now.
He's fucking on fire.
All right, let's contain it. Get it out.
All right.
Get it out, man. I know.
Try. I'm sorry.
Accept your feelings.
I'm trying. I can't help it. Oh, God.
Okay.
That was really bad. That was almost a dad joke. It was so bad.
Vlad Hadinky. You can accept this.
Oh, God. All right. All right, I'm back. I'm back. All right,
Mark's
here
back.
we go.
Usually I'm the one that's dying.
I know, it
that was
happens.
me.
Mark's
All
just
right.
all right.
All right, I'm dead. All right, I'm dead.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Vladimir stared helplessly as his wife's spinning figure was lost in the violet hues of the hovering craft, almost certainly wondering if this was destined to be the last time he would ever see his spouse. He then felt his well-honed muscles constrict, locking his limbs into place as he once again lost control of his body. So he broke the spell for a moment. Now he's back.
He's back. Okay.
Like the invisible boa constrictor.
It's like some Jean-Claude Van Damme type shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's hard to imagine that this was not far and away the most terrifying moment in both Olga and Vladimir's young lives, but as distressing as this abduction by an alien force must have been, things were about to get a lot more frightening and a hell of a lot more weird. In one moment, Olga was being whisked up towards the belly of this presumably mechanical beast, while her husband, a man who prided himself on his ability to protect his family from physical harm, could only stand and stare, powerless to move, much less intercede. In the next moment, both Olga and Vladimir suddenly found themselves standing side by side in a brilliantly lit white area. The couple was evidently nude and confined inside of a room within the larger expanse by a semi-transparent wall, or series of walls, that looked to them as if they were made of glass.
Yeah, you don't want to pop into like an Apple
you're
store
like,
with your
what
wife.
the
What the
giant
fuck?
fucking
Yeah.
football field-sized Apple store, like you say.
But you're just naked.
and you're
And then
naked,
you're just naked.
in the fucking like the plastic glass
But you're
cubicle
with
in
your
the middle.
you're with your wife, your significant other, so it's cool.
It is not cool.
Look, no, if I'm going to be
That
naked
doesn't-
in an
I mean,
Apple store, I want my wife
listen,
to be there.
Nobody
to be
wants
like,
to just
maybe it's
show
better,
up
but it's
somewhere
not cool.
naked out of nowhere.
Yeah, especially in the
mean-
vast expanse of white inside some fucking acrylic
If
tank.
that happens, you're either in a Kubrick film that you have no control over,
True.
Yeah.
or a Jodorowsky film you have no control over.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what would be worse? You know,
Yeah.
Kubrick was more mean-spirited, but Jodorowsky would fuck people up in weird
Yeah,
ways.
really,
Oh,
yeah.
they're both fucking nightmares.
Yeah, they are. All right, so
right.
Apple Store, you're nude.
Nude.
But you're with
fucking
your
glass
significant
walls.
other, so you're fine.
So, well, all right. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, if I'm
I
gonna be
feel like
naked,
if
yeah.
I was
Man.
with somebody I cared about, it would be slightly better, but it would still be, I don't know,
No,
horrible.
it's so fucked up.
That's, but that's me. What,
All right,
what
well,
can I
I
do?
don't know.
Mark
All right.
likes nakedness. Doesn't care.
The shocked pair, if I may, scanned their austere surroundings and found no sign of anything that resembled furniture, light fixtures, or control panels of any kind. With their minds already reeling, Olga and Vladimir simultaneously turned their heads and caught the first sight of their inhuman abductors.
Oh, shit.
It's on now. The eyewitnesses claimed that they were confronted by 11 enigmatic entities. That's a fucking tongue twister. That's the Sesame Street
11
moment.
enigmatic
11.
entities.
Oh, E3.
One.
E3.
It's true.
Yeah.
Looming just beyond the invisible barrier. At first glance, these quasi-humanoid beings were not unlike the prototypical alien abductors commonly known as the Greys. They had smooth grayish skin, bulbous craniums, black eyes, and 3 fingers on each hand.
All right, it's kind of standard.
What's more, these beings were short, standing slightly under 4 feet in height. It was an easy estimation for the couple to make, as they both claimed that the creatures were no taller than Vanessa, their eldest daughter.
So they're not
So it's a real-life comparison.
they're not gigantic
They
though.
know how tall their daughter is. This is how tall these
Remember,
things are.
Okay.
Vladimir is a martial arts expert.
Does that affect his ability to perceive height?
Yes, of course
Well, he
it does.
claims
How?
to be.
He's throwing kicks. He has to be able to measure height.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't demand does not need a tape measure.
That is fascinating.
It is.
What do you think happens in dojos, dude?
Yeah,
That's a-
Get the
construction.
tape, everyone. Let's figure this out.
Tape
Yeah,
measure out,
they don't
Just
teach
saying.
you that.
I don't know. I've never, I had one karate lesson when I was a kid. That's my fucking full extent. But I've watched plenty and Chris can attest to this, martial arts films.
Yeah.
We've been there in the ditches. I've never seen the fucking measuring
Because
portion.
you gotta go to
of
the dojo,
training
dude.
session.
You gotta go to the dojo.
All right,
They do not train for tape. They don't use tape measures.
Saying
4 feet fucking
Believe
tall.
me.
the man can throw a kick.
The beings were also almost completely sealed inside of skin-tight coveralls, complete with hoods and ninja-like masks that covered the lower portions of their face. Perhaps alien hazmat suits,
Or a warring clan.
or a warring,
Fucking
or
clan.
fucking Ronin.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
avoided the Shogun's fucking rule and now are on the
Dude,
Ronin of the
or what
cosmos.
how adorable if it was like a miniature scorpion, Sub-Zero, and like reptile.
All right, if they were color coordinated
That'd
like
be
that,
dope. That'd be
that
so
would be
cute.
huggable. But let me finish.
Babality.
But as recognizable as these things would seem to be to anyone even vaguely familiar with ufological lore, there were 2 dramatic differences that seemed to indicate that the terrified victims were contending with something only superficially similar to the legendary Greys. The first key variance had to do with the eyes, which was the only part of their face that was exposed. Although they were large, black, and seemed to lack pupils, Vladimir insisted that the shape of the eyes was unusual and, quote, unlike the popular image often shown in films about aliens from space. Unfortunately, he did not specify what form they took, but we can safely assume that they were not the classic almond shape.
All right, so maybe they're like,
You know what? I almost think like fucking those like sad puppy dog eyes, almost like the Droopy cartoon,
Aw,
like weird
that's kinda
triangles that are
cute.
rounded at the bottom and go up. I don't know what could be so dramatically different from the classic
It doesn't.
almond shaped
Yeah,
eyes.
I know what that means.
Unless
Or
maybe
just normal
human,
footballs.
like human-esque looking eyes,
or super
Humanish?
round.
Yeah,
I
could
wish
be,
he
yeah.
didn't say what they didn't look like and
Right.
fucking said what they did.
yeah,
Yeah,
I,
but we
I,
don't have
I know
that.
what that
All
means.
So what are we
well,
gonna do?
you know.
The second discrepancy was more striking, as Vladimir noticed that these things were not standing on a pair of humanoid legs, but rather their torsos were perched on a single slug-like appendage which they moved by squeezing muscles in their lower bodies in sequence.
Oh,
This
slugs.
created, yes, an undulating wave-like motion which Vladimir compared to a caterpillar walking. So we got these slugulons.
They're like half hut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
Half hut.
Half hut.
Half
yeah.
Ninja Gray.
Okay.
That's what we're dealing with.
All right. I mean, still kind of cool. The hut
No.
ruins it a little bit, but
It's odd.
No, if
Yeah,
you saw
I mean,
that,
they
you
should have
would
had like
not.
horse
No, I
legs or
would-
something.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Something
centaur,
cool.
gray
Yeah,
centaurs.
gray
That would be
centaurs, yeah,
dope.
totally.
But that's not what we're
You're
dealing
just
with.
adding horror to the already horror.
Just saying.
Olga also spied what looked to her like rows of cephalopod-like suckers which rippled beneath their long, form-fitting suits as they moved. So not only are they fucking
Wait,
huts,
what?
but they're like a single tentacle hut. So all I can think is like slug or, well, I mean, he said caterpillar, but caterpillars have fucking legs.
Let's just stick with hut.
So it's like got this tight suit goes all the way down to like this nub.
Right.
And they're kind of riding on it like slugs
Or
or
hot.
snails or whatever.
Or hot.
And they seem to have like weird sucker type things that just keep pushing against their tight fitting suits that help them, I don't know, be mobile.
I
All right,
don't even
weird.
know how to picture this.
It's gross.
It's grubby.
But
But it's also kind of cute because if you had it in like stuffed animal
it?
form,
It would probably be
no,
adorable.
If you had like a cute big head and little three fingers and
Yeah.
like a little octopus bottom, and it's like one of those glowworm dolls from the
Yeah,
fucking
totally.
80s or something. Come on, you'd hug the shit out of it. But it
I
has to be
would.
in plush form.
I don't.
would.
No, these things are
don't
horrible.
even know how
I'm
to.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know
make
how
the
to
best
picture
of
it. I'm just like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's-
even know what I'm seeing at this point.
It's
still.
weird. All
Just-
right, all right.
A gray
Like I get it.
from belly button up, except clad in
I
tight
guarantee if
sitting
we
ninja.
all tried to draw it, it would be all three very different
Probably. Yeah.
You know, you're probably right.
because it's really weird.
I'm
but
just
I
gonna
would
draw
love to do it.
Jabba the Hutt with a gray head and a
Jabba the
scorpion
fuck.
mask. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Both witnesses claim that these things moved so swiftly that it gave the impression that they were almost floating. But that also might have had something to do with the gravity inside of the craft. Vladimir and Olga stared at these surging caterpillar ninjas with a combination of fear and fascination. I couldn't help it. That's what I'm seeing in my head.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's when the 12th entity appeared. This being stood about 6.5 feet tall, and unlike its tinier counterparts, wore a loose draping tunic that concealed its face, giving the impression, perhaps, of being an intergalactic Grim Reaper.
Whoa, the fucking Grim Reaper
The
shows
grimmest.
up.
Well,
Well, okay, there's an
Perhaps.
alien in a.
All right, so it might just be a really comfortable tall thing.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
all right.
I said perhaps
maybe
because
he's a fan.
I see the worst case scenario.
I was looking to transition into "See You in Hell" by Grim Reaper.
Oh, bless your heart.
You didn't say
Exactly.
that.
Oh,
I know.
You're
I was
supposed to
trying
sing
Why
it
were- why
if
were
you
you
were
being
going to do
subtle? You
that.
should've just
See You in
gone
Hell,
there.
my friend. I was just trying to.
Okay, well, it's too late.
Well, now it's a lesson
All right,
learned.
fine.
Don't ever fuck around. Just jump right to Grim Reaper next time.
Intergalactic Grim Reaper. Respect. Respect Grim Reaper.
Perhaps the arrival of this tall being indicated that their quarantine was over, or maybe it was just a coincidence, but the moment it arrived was when the slug-like creatures swarmed into the glass room and began to congregate around the fearful Olga. With their three-fingered hands, they pulled her toward another section of the room where a strange, deep-set chair, which vaguely resembled a gynecologist's examination chair, had appeared out of nowhere.
Not fucking good.
No, that's the undope.
Perfect.
No. This is where
That's the hot shit.
this is where shit goes exponentially wrong quickly.
Fair enough.
All right.
At the sight of his terrified wife being manhandled by these beings, Vladimir was once again able to reclaim control of his body. The man's a fucking master.
Fucking
he
Jean-Claude.
charged toward Olga, but ended up crashing headfirst into an imperceptible force field, or as he called it, an invisible wall.
Oh man.
So
Same
he's
thing.
there. He
Yeah.
snaps out. Like, who snaps out of alien paralysis? That never happens in
Dude,
abduction lore.
well, he
fucking
didn't.
Vladimir.
Martial
Yeah.
arts.
Oh, it's a different breed of cat.
The arts of the martials.
Oh, they're used to probing
Yeah,
willy
but why are
nilly.
you, all of a sudden are you throwing martial arts into this?
because maybe he has more fortitude.
Well, because he happens to be a martial arts instructor, I think that's why
yeah,
you're
so
glomming
maybe
on
No,
him.
he's
I
like,
know, I understand
he's able
that,
to like
but-
concentrate and use dude the fucking the dinky Hadouken thing.
You
Yeah,
never hear about a Shaolin monk being abducted. Now, I'm not saying it's
That's
never
what I'm
happened.
saying.
because they abduct Greys. Yeah,
Exactly. They Chuck Norris that
this
shit.
is some Chuck Norris shit. I'm just saying.
I just feel like it's-
Invisible fucking wall. That's where we're at. Noting his distress and conceivably even impressed by his ability to move while under whatever psychic or chemical sedation that they were employing, two of the little caterpillar people advanced on the perturbed husband, who screamed out the only question that made sense to him at that moment. What's going on, guys?
Oh, see, I don't know if that'd be my first.
that is
I know,
deep.
sometimes you do that.
Yeah, I know, but
Do you remember when also one showed up? It's like, hey,
So-
dog, what's up? Or whatever the fuck he
Yeah,
said.
what's up,
it was like
dude?
so
Yeah.
like relaxed. You know, he's
Yeah.
got his drill bit hand and 15 elk in his fucking cube.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
hey, buddy, What's happening?
But this is Vladimir talking to the weird
aliens.
Caterpillar aliens.
What is going on,
What's going on,
guys?
Yeah.
guys? What's
No,
going on, guys?
It's to the point. It's Eastern Bloc. Let's do it.
I don't know if I would have added guys, because that's presumptuous to assume A, they're male, and B, that they're I don't know anything remotely.
But when I say
whatever.
guys, that just
to me,
a group
I
of
say
people.
I say it's a group of people all the
does
time.
not
too.
matter who.
Like, but oddly enough, and maybe this is part of our patriarchal society, I've never walked into a room and said, "What's up, gals?" But guys to me is a gender non-specific.
Me too. That's
group
how I
reference.
view it.
And
Yep.
that's how goddamn it Vlad did it. I'm sure.
Oh, all right, cool.
Can we just be
I'm
cool
just
with this?
All right, everyone, calm down.
The entities locked eyes with Vladimir, and he suddenly heard their voices ringing out in his head as they telepathically responded in perfect yet icy cold Ukrainian. And this is what they said: "Nothing terrible. Soon you will be back home."
Nah.
So he's like, "What's going on, guys?" They're like, "Hey, nothing terrible."
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's not like saying it's all good. It's like nothing terrible. I
Yeah,
mean,
why-
maybe it's awful.
But why bring up terrible?
I don't know.
Why?
Because it's not quite down to that level.
Yeah, this is not good.
Okay.
You
all right,
know,
all right.
I don't think I would trust.
Also, we
this.
got to remember this is being translated from the Ukrainian. So
Okay, but the aliens were speaking
It's
to him
provenances,
psychically
whatever.
in Ukrainian.
in perfect yet icy cold Ukrainian, I have to add.
Okay.
Okay.
Christopher later to be doing an impression of some icy cold Ukrainian.
Ukrainians, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Needless
I'm
to say.
Ukrainian.
They are your people. You can figure this out.
They are.
Excellent.
Enraged, Vladimir pushed the two creatures away and shouted, "I am not satisfied with that."
Whoa. This is when,
So that's how it goes.
dude. This is when you got to roadhouse somebody.
Yeah. That's when
Yeah,
Swayze
you get your
and Elliot
roadhouse
show up.
pants and your roadhouse boots and your roadhouse.
pants.
Yeah,
Is it the
exactly.
Chuck Norris flex
Yeah,
jeans?
of course. When you got your roadhouse pants.
Without warning, two more black-eyed assailants lunged up and seemed to almost glide through the air before they grabbed onto his arms and legs in an attempt to subdue him. But what these outlandish entities could never have known was that Vladimir Voronezhky was not merely a martial arts instructor. He was a fuck-sucking professional wrestler.
Oh,
They didn't realize.
Shit.
That's a double-barreled shotgun of
you
might.
done fucked up.
They fucked up.
son.
They're
This
so
guy's
used to
in-
like probing people in the American
No,
Midwest
man.
and just bend over and cry about it later to a hypnotherapist. They didn't know what they were fucking gonna face.
Dude, you got Chuck Norris and one of the Steiners all in one.
It's badass.
Yeah. That he got the Swayze of
He got Scott Steiner.
the
yeah.
Eastern Bloc Swayze.
The Eastern Bloc
Swayze.
Swayze, yeah.
Absolutely. So
Swayze.
two more
Swayze.
floating fiends. God damn it. Two more floating fiends glommed onto his extremities from behind. It was now 6 against 1, and Vladimir knew that the odds were stacking up against him. But instead of succumbing to the panic that was no doubt gnawing at the base of his skull, he employed his years of training in various martial arts schools, cleared his mind, and resolved to kick some extraterrestrial ass.
And this is where you go full fucking Roadhouse. Chuck Norris tornado of punches and kicks.
Ivan Norris.
Ivan
Norsky.
Yeah,
Well said.
Exactly. This is where you fucking start windmilling people into the fucking ground.
His mind reeling with potential defensive measures, Vladimir first elected to employ a series of Ushu wrestling moves so as to free himself from the four creatures grasping at him. It worked like a charm, and he set the globular noggin aggressors flying in various directions.
Oh shit!
I liked globular noggin. by the way.
Intergalactic
Yeah, I
Roadhouse.
don't even know how to picture that.
Well, just had big round heads. Vladimir braced himself for more attackers, but was astounded to see that most of these strange beings ignored him, while the ones he had managed to punch or kick off would simply tumble through the air, regain their bearings, and fly straight back at the frenzied fighter like fleshy boomerangs.
Oh shit!
Undeterred, Vladimir continued to fight off his surprisingly strong adversaries, only to watch in mounting frustration as they continued their gravity-defiant gymnastics and zoomed back at him, ready to continue their apparently everlasting onslaught.
They just don't stop.
It won't end.
Clearly.
All during the bout, these creatures would stare into the professional fighter's eyes. So, I'm going to pause here. It seems like they can't make a psychic link with him unless they're staring into his eyes, at least based on the report so far.
All right, solid.
So, all during the fight, they would stare into the professional fighter's eyes with their own inky black orbs and repeat the same question over and over. Why do you resist us? Vladimir gave them the only reply he could think of. His fists.
Oh, you know why? When words don't work.
But even while locked in the frenzy of combat, the father of three noted something odd about the way these beings communicated. Although they spoke his native tongue flawlessly, there were no traces of accent or timbre in the words. And as if that weren't weird enough, Vladimir noticed that though he was doing his level best to inflict serious damage on his opponents, at no time did they either sound exasperated or hostile. It was almost as if his floating foes were emotionless automatons.
Oh, he's just fighting some
They
fucking
don't
punches.
give fucks.
They're
Like the
they're
Greys,
like punching
they
bags.
seem to be like they might be
nothing.
He's
robots
fighting fucking punching
or
bags.
fleshy, I don't know, slaves that don't really have feelings.
So the
Who
Grim
knows?
Reaper is the one in charge. This I'll see you in hell, my
Hallucinations.
friend.
He's the one that cares.
All right, here you go.
Although their words may have been docile, these gut-sliding Greys had evidently had enough of Vladimir's bellicose behavior, and two of the entities approached him wielding ominous-looking metallic rods.
Whoa.
These metallic rods
It's
are
rod
foreboding,
time.
and they're gonna something's gonna happen. But I have to say, gut sliding is not a fucking misnomer. That's actually what they call how caterpillars and slugs
Is
move.
gut sliding?
gut sliding.
You know, of course, you Google it, and you're like, how do these things move? What's it called? Gut sliding.
Weird.
That's
With a
weird,
hyphen.
yeah.
I did not know that.
I loved it.
I didn't know that
So
either.
these are now gut sliding Greys.
All right.
Perfect.
I know, it was awesome.
Sweet.
They have metallic rods, 2 in each hand. So that's 4.
Okay, well, that's
altogether.
good.
wait,
They
what
have
if it's a
batons
bunch of-
fear?
Four
Great.
rods.
Or what if it's huts with force pikes? Oh,
There you go.
Force pikes. Mm-hmm. All right.
Despite the martial artist's vigorous defense, the now 8 beings finally managed to overtake him and, to his shock, shoved all 4 rods into his chest.
Ooh,
Sucks.
Not good.
Vladimir was unable to recall the pain of the penetration, but he suddenly felt himself completely paralyzed. He was sure that his life would be over in a matter of moments. The metal shafts now embedded in his torso had almost certainly penetrated his lungs and possibly even his heart.
Oh, Jesus, they actually went through?
Fucking through.
I thought it was like we got the tickler, we got the
Oh, yeah,
fucking,
like the little
fucking,
touch thing.
Yeah, the fucking
Tickler.
Tickler, yeah,
In all
like
fairness,
electronic,
no.
like a fucking, like a...
The cattle prod tickler was actually a
cattle
real
prod,
thing in Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. The guy used it on his fucking, I don't know, manservant or
Yeah,
whatever.
but this is different.
But this is different.
Why
This
would-
is
why
real
would you?
life,
What's
sir.
the tickler?
The fucking, the French electric tickler.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not what they
I
were
wasn't going to
employing.
go there, but you
Why?
did.
Because it's hilarious.
Tasteless
Despite
dash.
the lack of pain, Vladimir knew that with injuries like these, he would likely drown in his own blood.
Oh, shit.
He knows his body. He knows the way.
he's a fucking
When you
martial
penetrate
artist.
all your fucking lungs, all 2 of them,
Yeah.
it's trouble.
He's fucked.
Incapacitated and helpless, all the despairing husband and father could do was watch in frozen horror as the creatures dragged his besieged wife toward the sinister chair-like object on the other side of the glass room. Oh no! We all know what's going on with that chair.
Chair-like.
It's a bad chair.
Gynecological nightmare. It's like fucking Cronenberg, early 80s.
Yeah, it's bad.
Perhaps somewhere in his whirling mind, Vladimir realized the ghastly truth. That as grave as his injuries might be, what these things were about to do with his wife would be much, much worse.
Oh, and that's where we're going to leave it off. The end of part 1.
You don't even know.
Stick around next week, part 2.
I don't even know.
God, I hope we live to do it.
The conclusion...
You guys will be haunted by your inability to know what happened.
The conclusion of Vladimir and Olga.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to
The
Olga?
Dubno abductors.
It's crazy.
You got the tall tunic-clad fuckface. You got the little
Yeah.
slug knots.
The slug knots are kind of interesting because that's not really ever a description that we've ever heard of.
No.
some sort of
No,
alien.
it's
And
not
what's funny
at
is that
all.
They're so gray-like. Yeah.
Right.
So fucking not.
Yeah.
That's what blows my mind.
But the tunic guy, man, that's like the fucking emperor, dude. To bring in more Star Wars references, he's like the emperor. He's like, no.
Yeah, that's exactly
Fucking's
it.
gonna Palpatine your ass into the fucking ground.
I will give this. He definitely has more of a presence in part 2.
I know, man. See, this sucks because I got part 2 in my email box and I want to read it, but I don't.
Don't read it.
I don't want to read it.
Let me read it in my own incapacitated
God damn it.
style next week.
So, we're going to round this up at the end of next episode. So, thank you all so very much for joining us for the Kryptonaut Podcast. Again, this is part 1 of the...
Dubno abductors.
Couldn't remember what we were talking about.
That's why I
Thank you
came
so
through.
very much. The Dubno Abductors. Stick around next week, part 2. As always, socials, Instas, Twitters, and Facebooks. Be sure to hit us up there. Thank you all so very much for the interaction. We appreciate it.
We love it. In fact.
I'm on, I as in Mark, I'm in the Instas and the Twitters.
He is on
mainly,
everything.
And
Chris
Rob
and I
and
visit
Chris.
Facebook
I'm,
occasionally.
yes, I'm
hold
on
down
Facebook. That's it.
so,
But I read all of it, and I love all of it. As I said earlier, fucking comment. Anything you want to say, comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
But-
if you have a specific question, I will do my
But make
diggity
sure that
damnedest
you
to answer.
tag Rob in your comments so he can see it.
That's true.
Because then if you send an email or a DM, then I got to forward it to him. And then I'm like,
it's a pain in his
hey,
dick.
did you check
Yeah.
your email?
And more
he's like,
importantly,
I
I
hate
am
checking email.
I don't check my email. I check my email tri-weekly. I don't even think
No,
bi-weekly.
you don't even do that.
No,
You
like
don't even
every
do
3
that.
weeks I
No,
glance
you
at my
barely
email.
do.
I fucking hate.
Really?
I mean, it's
I
not. I
know.
love people. I hate the bullshit.
I know.
I hate electronics.
I email you a lot.
I read old books and write stories and hang out with my friends.
I email you really
No, I
sweet things
don't.
about you.
Do you really?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, then why don't you tell me? Why don't you text me? Because then
I
I'll
would
get a text,
think
and then
that
you'll be
you
like,
would just-
"There's a sweet thing in your email, Rob. Read it."
It's about you.
You
Your
have to
sweet,
check the
sweet
email.
Irish headband. You're like a really deformed looking fucking Larry
Deformed.
Bird. Larry,
Really?
Larry Bird.
Larry
yeah.
Bird is not like the fucking
Exactly.
paragon of handsomeness. He was a fine basketball player, but the fact that I look like a deformed fucking Larry Bird
Actually,
is hurtful.
you know what? I'm gonna
Deformed.
take that back
Wow.
and say that you're actually much better looking than Larry Bird.
Wow.
You're a
nice
pro-
save. Nice fucking save.
What's that? Proformed?
Yeah, Larry Bird, that fucking troglodyte. Fuck him.
That's great.
You're proformed.
No, I got to say this. Thank you, Lisa Huff, again for the fucking birthday gift of the sweet Irish head
totally.
and wristbands, which have kept sweat out of my eyes.
They work very
Since
well.
word go.
And you are a fashionable fucking dude.
I didn't even plan on wearing the wristbands all pod, but
yeah,
now
I see
no,
it.
I like them.
you know, I seem to read better with them, so
They're
I guess
dope.
it's on.
It's on.
like
Yeah,
it.
you have
That's
to
what
have
happens
that every time.
I'm a superstitious creature. That's what's going on.
No, I
There
hear
you go.
you.
Patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. Thank you all so very much for everyone that supports us over there. $1 will
Yeah,
get you a
totally.
shout out. $5 will get you a shout out. And some bonus audio where we may make some incriminating statements.
I don't know if it's incriminating. We're not
Nah,
incriminating.
yeah,
we make
no, what?
controversial.
We controversial statements over there about cocaine. But
And
whatever.
other things. Come on.
$5 a month for this garbage.
Yeah, really.
Do it.
I know.
Garbage.
Yeah,
I know.
really. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
And eventually, I know we've been
Garbage.
promised this forever, we will have additional tiers.
Listen,
which
we're
will
gonna-
offer you more glories
It's coming.
beyond
We've done
additional
tests.
audio.
It's
are
happening.
you prepared for possible video? That's all I'm saying. Are you prepared?
Are we pretty enough to do it, though?
You're very pretty. You're a handsome bastard.
Well, so are you.
I mean, compared to
but
Larry
Chris
Bird.
is fucking devastating. You fucker. I swear to God. You know, in all fairness, I will give you like the literal facts. If I was Larry Bird and someone looked at me and be like, "You are a fucked up Larry Bird," because
Right.
I don't look anything like Larry Bird. So
No.
under those paradigms, yes, I'm a
Fine.
mutated Larry Bird.
There you go.
Otherwise, I'm still real skeptical. That was a shady, backhanded fucking
stop.
compliment.
My comments are never
My
backhanded.
Irish pride still loves fucking Larry Bird, but you, sir.
Oh, jeez. All right, so there you have it. Thank y'all so very
Man.
much for joining us. And
Yeah.
stick around next week for part 2. But talking to you soon.
I'm telling you, part 2 is fucking worth it. This was fun. Part 2 is bat balls to the wall fun.
Fuck.
It is nuts. So maybe I'm overhyping it, but I'm not because I wrote it. So the first part is fucking good. The second part is tits up McGillicuddy.
Also, real quick, P.S. from Mark. September is here. Halloween is coming up.
Yeah.
We want to figure
Can't
out something
wait.
for Halloween, possibly. So send us some ideas for Halloween cryptids. Is that a thing?
Yeah, no, well,
Is
maybe.
Bigfoot a witch? I don't know. Make
Is
something
Bigfoot a
happen.
pumpkin?
I don't know. The Great Pumpkin, the Mothman
Some
Pumpkin.
particularly
Oh, wait a minute.
creepy Halloween stories because we can do paranormal
I don't
shit
know,
in the
can
October.
we?
Why? We can
Wait,
do whatever the
the
fuck
Great
we want.
Pumpkin?
Ooh, the Great Pumpkin. Yeah,
Is the Great Pumpkin real?
The Great Sasquatch.
Because
I feel like it's a Charlie Brown invention, but we should look up the Great
we
Pumpkin.
really should.
All right,
Because as
cool.
much as I know Charles Schultz fucking whipped that shit up, as a kid, there was times when I thought, of course, I'd never give up trick-or-treating. But I thought, just maybe.
All right,
Just
well,
maybe a
we
pumpkin
need
I love
to-
patch.
pumpkin, but there are gods of harvest. So
There are.
Maybe we
was
can
he
do.
fucking tapping into like some Samhain deep shit?
that's what I'm
was he getting
saying.
into his Schultzian? Well, it's German, but maybe he had some
Schultzian.
Irish in there.
I think Danzig was there. Was
He made-
Danzig
Danzig, of
there?
course, was
Danzig
there.
Was Erie Vaughn there?
Danzig
Erie
was
Vaughn?
not
Was Erie
there.
Vaughn there?
How pagan is Peanuts? Is the real question we
All
will be
right.
answering next October.
Thank y'all so very much. Send us
In
some
a month.
emails
Yeah.
for
Next
October.
October.
And we'll
Yeah,
talk-
I don't even know. The October that's coming.
Yeah.
Is it this October? See, I never know how to say it.
Yeah.
I'm always like, let's hang out next week. And someone's like, it's this week. I'm like, this week is right now. That's next week.
but you
It's a
can
week
say
away.
na-
But I fuck it up all the time.
Right.
We'll be talking to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
I don't know what
Bye.
week this is.